Hey, what's up, blue collar business owner? Welcome back to the Blue Collar Prosperity Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Maska, where we focus on helping guide you to have business that produces consistent, positive cash flow. In today's episode, we are going to go over start with the end in mind. So if you are new to the show, once a month, I dive into a topic, go pretty deep to help you get a little bit closer to where you want to go. So starting with the end in mind, can you relate to this? You started your business just so that you didn't have to work for somebody else. You thought, I can do it better. They're doing these things wrong. If we just do X, Y, and Z, we can go build a better business. I know that's why I started my business. My initial business, that's why I started it, is because I was tired of working for somebody else. So my initial career, I used to work in finance, sat in a cubicle, looked at spreadsheets all day, watched a whole bunch of people get laid off in 2008, and realized this really isn't for me. So the reason that wasn't for me is because I wanted to go be in charge. I wanted to be the boss. I wanted to be one in control. And that's what I did. Before I knew it, I thought I had made it. I had achieved my goal of working for myself and money was coming in. There was proof of concept of, hey, this business thing is working. Customers are paying me. We're putting money in the bank. But before I knew it, I realized I was working more than ever, because what happens when you do a good job, and I'm sure you're very similar, is you start to get busy. Word starts to spread. Hey, give Paul a call. He's really good at it, has really good pricing, great customer service, all the things. And then you realize you're doing all the things. And it feels like there's really no way to get out of it. You're on this hamster wheel, waking up, just trying to survive the day, the week, the month. And what I realized was I didn't have a vision. My initial vision was, hey, let's go work by myself, for myself, so I don't have to work for somebody else. And I had achieved that vision. But then after that, I didn't realize there was anything else to do other than go work for myself, because you've probably heard it a million times. I know I did. That's just the way it is. That's part of being a business owner. And yes, to a certain extent it is. You've got to grind it out to get going. You've got to wear all the hats. But then eventually, when everything becomes too much and you're spinning too many plates, eventually some of them are going to fall. So what changed for me? I read the book Built to Sell by John Warrillow. If you are watching this on any sort of video platform, you can see the book back there on my bookshelf. I still believe it's one of the most foundational, most valuable books anybody can read. The reason for it is when you build a business to sell, it means it can run without you, even if you never want to sell it. I recommend that book to everybody. And a lot of people say, well, I don't want to sell my business. I want to just hold on to it, put a GM in place, and then, go do something else, go get into real estate. Or I want my kid to have it. Or I want to be the GM and I never want to sell it. That's okay, even if you never want to sell it. But the key to having a sellable business is it can run without you. If your business can run without you, let me tell you, it's a lot less stressful and you have a lot more freedom, even if you never want to sell it. So I have sold 4 different businesses for 4 different reasons, but the key is they were all sellable. So I'll just kind of walk you through it real quick. The first business I sold, I was just kind of maxed out. We were running after school programs for elementary kids. So we were running after school golf programs actually, and then we added tennis. So we had, at the peak of it, we had 44 employees. And what I realized was the revenue per employee for that business was very, very low, because every employee was only working like 1 to 3 hours a day. Nothing happened during the day. Once school got out, we had 44 coaches going out to different schools in the area delivering these programs. So the revenue per employee was very low. It was a very fun business. That's why I got into it originally, but I kind of maxed it out. We got into most of the schools in our area. We were doing most of the things. And I realized that the return on my time going forward would be a lot less than it was when I was scaling up this business. So that was the first reason. The second business I sold was actually a dog walking and pet sitting business. I had no intention of ever getting into a dog walking and pet sitting business. I don't own dogs, don't own cats, don't own pets. But I saw a huge opportunity in the market because most people in that space was the one-man band. They just did it for fun. They did it on the side, or it was their main thing, but they didn't know how to scale. They didn't know how to build a team. And I knew how to do that because I just left a business that had 44 employees. So we had scaled it up, put a lot of cool technology in place, built an awesome customer experience. And ironically, I went on vacation for 2 weeks to England and Scotland, had a key employee in the business running it while I was gone. When I came back, he said, hey man, I had so much fun. I want to buy your business. I said, cool. What's the price? So That was the second reason. I sold it to an employee, didn't have to sell it, didn't want to sell it unless the price was right, but I was able to sell it, and I was able to sell it to someone who had such a big passion for it, a huge pet person, and was really excited about the opportunity. The third business we sold was actually, my wife and I ran it together. We bought a gym franchise during COVID when gyms were going out of business left and right. And we bought it with the initial goal of, hey, let's scale this up and have multiple locations throughout the area. So we bought the first one. It was about to go out of business. So we bought it for a very good price at the end of 2020 and started to get it turned around. Ended up becoming one of the top 10 franchises in the country. Unfortunately, the franchisor decided to change the model compared to what we had built it on. So the model they were going to, the model we would have been forced to go to, we didn't love. However, our business was sellable, so we were able to sell it. So that was another reason. And then the last one, for the last 3 years, I was a partner in an electrical company, and I sold it to my partner who was the electrician. So it was sellable. It was a very successful business. We had grown it by over 500% in 3 years, had all the systems and processes in place, a great team in place. So he was able to buy it and take it over and run it full time, where initially he was kind of the service manager overseeing all of the electrical work. And then I was more or less overseeing the business and finance of it. So why I go on that tangent is to show you that there's so many different reasons to sell a business. When your business is sellable, it makes it a lot easier when those things come up. If a key family member gets sick, if something happens to you or yourself, or if you just don't want to be tied to the business 24/7. The reason all those businesses that I sold were sellable is because I had a defined definition. I knew what the end was. So that's what we're going to go into a little bit more in depth on today's show. Is that's what I do now. So every time that I work with a client, so for those of you that don't know, I'm an outsourced CFO. So my main focus is helping businesses who are great at what they do, need help on the financial part, understanding their numbers, understanding cash flow, understanding goals and money and profit and all those things, and building wealth. The very first thing I do is figure out, what do they want to do? Why did they start this business? Because there's so many owners in the trades, I believe, that are so close to achieving that freedom, the wealth, the prosperity that they want, that they desire, that they've earned. They just got to get the numbers in place. So where do we start? This is where I want you to get out your pen and paper. If you're driving, don't get out your pen and paper, but go back and re-listen to it. First, we got to figure out, what does our ideal life look like? My number one belief is that we can leverage our business to build a life that we love. We see plenty of other people doing it, and we want to do it as well. And I'm here to tell you it is 100% possible. We just got to get a little bit of things dialed in. So what does your ideal life look like? When you are living your ideal life, what does it look like? How many weeks are you traveling? What are you doing for investing? What are you doing to build prosperity, to build wealth? What are you doing from a real estate standpoint? What are you doing from a time standpoint? Map out what your ideal life looks like and figure out, how much money do I need in order to make that happen? People say money doesn't buy happiness. I think money enables us to live a very happy life. Money is a powerful tool, just like anything else. When we use it in a good way, it can be very powerful. When we use it in a bad way, it can be very powerful the other way. So what does our ideal life look like? Map it out, get granular, get detailed, and figure out exactly how much time you can spend in your business and how much money you need that business to produce for you. So now we know, what type of business do we need to build in order to make that happen? How do we do that? First, we have to map out what our ideal organization looks like. So map out your future org chart, so that way when you've made it to the place you're going to that destination, what does that look like? Now, if you're in HVAC, plumbing, electrical, or landscaping, they're all going to be pretty similar, because those businesses, in my opinion, are a little bit more scalable than some other ones. Not saying others aren't scalable. However, there's a little bit more complexities to some of those business versus others, but you're going to have things covering the main 4 departments. So the main 4 areas of any business, if you just follow the customer journey, it'll tell you what it is. First, it's marketing, then it's sales, then it's delivering your service, and then it's the financials of everything and what falls under financials. So that's what we want to build. What does our ideal organization look like? So marketing. Do you have a marketing company? Do you have a CMO? Do you have a fractional CMO that's doing all of your marketing strategy for you? That person's reporting to a GM. Then let's look at our finance. And then at the end, we'll look at all of the other things, because that's the main meat of most businesses. Finances. Do you have a CFO? Do you have an outsourced CFO? Do you have a fractional CFO? Who's guiding the strategy from a financial standpoint? It's not your CPA. It's not your bookkeeper. They are doing things that are in the past. Your CFO is looking forward into the future and helping guide you where you want to go. Under that CFO is your bookkeeper, is your accountant, is HR, all those things going in there. And then the main part of your business is the operations. So looking at your operations manager, who reports to your operations manager. Depending on your business model, it'll be a little bit different. But in a quote unquote normal service business, you are going to have your service technicians. So your service technicians, they are the ones out selling and doing work. Those people are reporting to a service manager. Also reporting to your service manager is probably your dispatchers, people that are controlling the day-to-day schedule. Then you might have sales. You might have comfort advisors. So that's under your sales department, under a sales manager. Then you're probably going to have an install team. So your install team is doing work that was already sold. It's probably install technicians. It's probably apprentices. Maybe there's a permit coordinator in there, depending on how your business operates. The next part of your operations is your customer experience, customer service rep, whatever you want to call it. I always like to call them customer experience specialists. So you've got all the people answering the phone, and then you probably have someone managing all of those people. Eventually, if there's 4 or 5 people answering the phone, you probably have what a lot of people call a call center manager. And then the last one that you might have is some sort of warehouse fleet manager, people making sure all of your vehicles are maintained, making sure all of your inventory is maintained. Now, if you can get really good, you can get some of your vendors to do that. If you get your material on consignment and let them handle that, where you maybe then just have an apprentice getting your material organized for you. Same thing for your vehicles. If you can build a good relationship with the local mechanic, the local auto shop, they might be able to manage most of your fleet for you, depending on that. But there's also a lot of technology out there that can do that as well. So now we know what our ideal future organization looks like. We need to know who's filling all those roles. How many people do we actually need? And that goes back to what your personal goals are. Do you want to be the GM or no? Maybe you just want to be operations manager and, oversee all the operations and have your own general manager. Everybody is different, but once we know what that looks like, then we have to figure out how much money do we need to make in order to make this happen. So you're going to start to put together a budget in place and start mapping out the financials and start setting targets so we know exactly what that destination looks like. Then we can rewind to today. Where are we at today? Then you can start step by step getting to where you want to go. So in conclusion of all that, first, we got to know what our ideal personal life looks like. Then we need to know how big of a business do we need in order to achieve that? Then we need to map out the organization chart of that. What does it look like? And then really figure out the financials of how many customers do we need? How many service techs do we need? All of those things, and then start setting targets. So a couple real life examples. I've worked with people who want to build a really big business. They want a GM. They want all those managers in place. So that way, they don't have to do anything. And at that point, they're more of a shareholder of this organization. They're still gonna have to do things. They're still sitting on the board, meeting with management, doing all that, but they're not, integral to the day-to-day success. Those people, they're building wealth inside of their business because that business is worth a lot because it can survive without the owner. Other people might want to build a smaller business where they are the GM, or like we said, they are the operations manager. And that's okay too. Everybody has different goals. We don't need to be running the same race. We're going to be running our race. The key to this is if your business requires you to be very successful on a day-to-day basis, we need to build wealth probably somewhere else. So we need to make sure our business is producing enough excess income so we can build wealth outside our business, just because our business isn't as valuable as the business in example A, where it can run without us. And there's nothing wrong with either of those. To me, the key is to build wealth so that way we get paid over an extended period of time for all the work we've put in, all the value we have created. So hopefully that helps you guys out there get one step closer to achieving your goals, because first we need to know, in conclusion, what does our ideal life look like? What kind of business do we need to achieve to do that? What does that ideal organization chart look like? What do the financials look like? Let's start setting some targets in order to make that happen. And remember, everybody's running a different race. You're going to see all the things on social media. Oh, we're selling to private equity. Oh, we're rolling up another company. Oh, we're doing $100 million. We don't have to do that. We have to do what we want to do in order to live that we want to live and not live somebody else's life. And again, the book that I recommend for everybody to read is Built to Sell by John Warrillow. It's a phenomenal book to really help you get crystal clear on building a business that can run without you. The key to all this is get started today. One of my favorite quotes, I've said it a million times, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. It is never too late to start making changes. I have talked to so many business owners in the trades who think it's too late. It's not for me. It is never too late. The key is to get started and never stop, one foot in front of the other. Momentum is a powerful thing. If you get 1% better every single day, you'll be 37 times better 365 days from now. The only way you can do that is get started. Get rid of that thinking of, what if I just throw in the towel and go work for somebody else again? That's way easier. You don't have to worry about all those things. Most people who say that, it's because they don't have a plan and they can't track their progress. Once we're tracking our progress, we have a plan. We know that we're on the right track. We have some gratification. We have some excitement. We can celebrate the wins because we know now we are getting closer to where we want to go. And lastly, if you do need help and want to talk through all this, you can book a call with me, no charge, no obligation. Go to thebluecollaradvisors.com/call. We'll dive into your business. I'll do a financial assessment of your business to determine how healthy your business is, what's working, what's not working, what are the red flags, what are the opportunities, so that way you can get crystal clear on not only where you want to go, but what steps do you need to start taking in order to get there.